Hello, baseball fans. My name is John Cosina, and as an avid baseball fan, watching MLB Network all day and getting texts and messages from my brothers about the hot stove and the rumors and everything, I thought I'd come to you division by division, team by team, and kind of discuss what I think certain teams need to do this offseason to get better. Guys they should target, where free agents I think are going to end up. And of course, I don't have any contact with general managers, so I'm going to skip all the rumors of trades because, as of right now, it's speculation. As the rest of this is just my opinion from watching Harold Reynolds and Matt Vescursion on the hot stove every day, and like I said, being such a huge fan of the game. I'm going to start in the American League West because there's been a lot of talk out there, a lot of confusion for the fans, agreement and disagreement. But I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up with the Texas Rangers. Basically, to keep it simple, Texas has a lot of holes. They need a lot of help this next season. The bonus for them, they're getting Prince Fielder back in the lineup after missing just about the entire 2014 season. He's a big hitter in a park where the ball should fly out off a bat like his, and it'll really help Texas. Him alone will bring probably 5 to 10 more wins than they did last year. However, pitching is not that strong. Yu Darvish is a legitimate ace. We all know that. But after that, there's been a lot of injuries throughout their roster. Like I said, lots of holes and a lot of injuries. These guys need to stay healthy and stay on the field. Adrian Beltre, Elvis Andrews, they can't do this. Sin Chu Chu, they can't do this all on their own. The biggest holes for them to fill, in my eyes, they need more outfield help. They need a solid catcher. They need an everyday second baseman. Okay, not to mention relief pitching and back of the rotation starting pitching. In my eyes, some good free agents for them to target this season. Torrey Hunter, he's from Texas. He'll be able to play there every day, whether in the outfield or as a DH. But I know the guy wants to play for a winner. Might not be the best opportunity for him. So other guys like Melky Cabrera could slide right into left field, bat two, right in front of, behind Shin Soo Choo, in front of Fielder, in front of Moreland, Beltre. He'll put himself in a good position to see some good pitches once again. They should look into re-signing Alex Rios, and if they can't, then another former Toronto Blue Jay, Colby Rasmus, is another guy that could thrive there. Power hitter in a power park, and he plays a good outfield. There's not many catchers available for free agency right now, so I see Giovanni Soto as their best bet to bring him back into Texas and have him as the everyday starter. Otherwise, David Ross is available, and I know he's old, but the guy can hit the ball. Second base, surprisingly, I think Ricky Weeks is a perfect fit here. Ricky Weeks, it could rejuvenate his power numbers, get him in different place, different surroundings. Who knows? And then as far as pitching, they need guys. So, nothing too big. They're not going to get the top tier pitchers, but out of the bullpen, why not go for a guy like Jason Mott or Chris Perez, guys that can help set the ball to Neftali Perez, get the ball there. And then starting pitchers, like I said, they're not going to go out and spend money to get these top guys. So I got Ryan Vogelsong, Jason Hamill, Brett Anderson, and take a risk on a guy like Josh Johnson. What do you have to lose right now? Houston Astros are a real interesting team. They got a lot of youth, a lot of talent throughout the field, but there's not much depth, and pitching is definitely their weak point. Talent, like I said, spread all over the place. They've got pop in the lineup with Carter, Springer, Singleton. They have last year's hit champ with Jose Altuve. A lot of defensive studs, like I already mentioned, Dexter Fowler and Springer and Altuve. Catching in depth. They've got a bulk of catching with Jason Castro, Hank Conger, and Corcoran. There is rumors that one of them will get traded and probably bring in some pitching. But like I said, I'm not going to speculate trades. Right now they got 3 guys that they can move around, DH, give days off, or give Corcoran some more time in the minors, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Biggest needs is pitching, like I said, both starting and relieving, and I think outfielders and some depth on the field. Guys that I could see fitting well in Houston and performing well. I've already mentioned Torrey Hunter with Texas because he's a Texas native. it's a good field. If he plays left field, not much room for him to cover, and a short left field for him to put the ball over. Also, a guy like Michael Morris, give him a short left field, give him an opportunity to play with some of these young guys, and just keep him excited. I think he could have a big year somewhere like there if San Francisco doesn't re-sign him. And then as far as pitching, I see them. They need to go get some low risk starting pitchers, guys that aren't gonna have to be paid top money. Guys like Colby Lewis. He spent a lot of time in Texas. He's comfortable. Brett Anderson, Ryan Vogelsong. Some of these guys who can be in their rotation. They won't be a 1 or 2 guy, but can be a 3, 4, 5, and really eat up some innings and give them some quality work. And in the bullpen, there's talk that right now they're looking at closers. David Robertson, Rafael Soriano. But if they can't get those guys, if they can't persuade them to come in, then look for them to go for somebody like Jason Grilli, Sergio Romo, or Chris Perez. Guys who have done the closing role in the past and could just be looking for an opportunity. The Los Angeles Angels last year, we know the story. They came back strong, took over the division from Oakland, had a lot of wins, had the most wins, and then blew it in the playoffs. Right now, I think they're doing the right thing. They're not making moves. They got a lot of familiar faces in familiar places. Everything is pretty much set from last year. So far, they've lost Hank Conger, but I don't think they utilized him properly last year anyway. They had the rise of Cole Calhoun. Calhoun had a really good year. He ended up batting leadoff a lot for them, playing right field every day, and he really impressed me as being a spark plug for that team. There's plenty of power, as we all know, in that lineup. If Pujols and Hamilton can get back to even form of what they used to be, and not to say they had bad years last season, but people who know the game expect more from those two. They do have the best player in baseball, Mike Trout, and defense. They've got defense everywhere. Ibar, Kendrick, Mike Trout, and Chris Iannetta right at the middle of the field. That's crucial for a team to take away a lot of runs and help your pitcher out. Their key to be successful this season is health. Plain and simple. They need to be healthy. But every team could use some help. I think for them it's depth. They don't have much of a bench right now. Middle relievers to get the ball towards Houston Street, and back of the rotation guy, somebody who can come in, behind Weaver and Shoemaker and Wilson and Garrett Richards. Sorry, I couldn't remember his name there for a second. Free agent possibilities for them, a couple guys they would use as a setup role. Somebody like Sergio Romo, Pat Neshek, who really proved himself last season in St. Louis. A couple starting guys, back of the rotation, cheaper deals. Kyle Kendrick, Franklin Morales. I could see them going to a place like the Anaheim Angels and producing. And then guys, position players that could help them. Nori Aoki, defensive guy that plays Anaheim's style of baseball anyway. Small ball, get him on, get him over, get him in. And then a guy like Mark Reynolds who can play in the outfield. He can play corner infield. He can DH, and he's got pop off the bench. So I think those are some good fits for the Angels. Seattle Mariners are a team that are going to be pretty scary for this division, and as of right now, I have them on top of the AL West. They added Nelson Cruz, who's a good friend of Robbie Cano's. He's the best right-handed power bat in the free agent market. They gave Kyle Seager a contract, so now he's going to be playing happy. Austin Jackson being brought over last year, he didn't really get to settle in Seattle. His offensive numbers weren't that great, but Kansas City showed last year how a defensive outfield can save your pitchers a lot of runs. Jackson is one of the best. Plus, he's scored 100 runs twice in his career. He scored 90 runs or more twice in his career. So the guy's getting on base and he's scoring. James Jones got a big upside. He came up last year for them and put on a show. Guy was getting hits left and right. I think he only ended up hitting 250 or something, but over 20 stolen bases in his time and made a lot of defensive web gems. Their pitching, their starting rotation, they got a lot of potential in that. Besides Iwakuma and of course King Felix, They've got guys like Paxton and Walker and Elias and Ramirez, and these guys can play in the league, and they're gonna only get better, especially watching a guy like King Felix every day, and just kind of by osmosis getting some knowledge off of him. They have a solid bullpen, but they can always use another reliever, out a little bit of outfield depth, even with the addition of Nelson Cruz, and a shortstop. They don't have a big name out there. They got a guy who's going to make plays. He's gonna bat at the end of the lineup. I can't even think of his name right now, but I want to say it's Miller. But that's why they need a shortstop. You can't just name him off the top of your head, right? Possible targets I see for Seattle. In the outfield, a guy like Alex Rios would be a huge pickup for Seattle. He can play anywhere in the outfield, bat anywhere in the lineup. He steals bags, hits for power. He's a very quiet, productive player. Melky Cabrera, I think, is also another guy that could come in and take left field away from Dustin Ackley. Because Cabrera and Cano were also good friends in New York. And Cano's got some pull on that team, believe me. And then pitching, I'm only looking at relievers, back of the rotation guys to help get the ball to Fernando Rodney. They can go out and get a guy like K-Rod as a setup man, or Tim Stauffer, who pitches well for San Diego out of the bullpen, or even a guy like Luke Gregerson, who spent the end of last year in Oakland, would be a solid. And plus, they've seen him. They've seen Gregerson firsthand. Now to get to the Oakland Athletics, and I'm going to start with the trade that has a lot of my friends who are Oakland fans up in arms about this, because they don't think Josh Donaldson is the guy that should have been traded. They think if they can give Billy Butler the money that he got, why shouldn't they have spent that money on Josh Donaldson? Look, you got good points. He hit 25 plus home runs back-to-back years, 90 RBIs back-to-back years, but that's all he's ever done. He's done 2 years, so to me that's not proven. Of course, in 2013 he was an MVP candidate. 2014 he batted 255. Okay, 255 with 29 home runs is an Adam Dunn type of season. No disrespect to Adam Dunn, but you need more average out of a guy you're putting in your 3, 4, or 5 hole. He played good defense. I understand that. I think the A's fans that are upset because they don't understand what they're getting back in return. They don't know what Brett Lowry has to offer, and they don't know anything about minor leaguers. And prospects are always a tough one to deal with and to explain to people because it's not a given. Looking at some numbers, Donaldson, like I said, he hit 29 home runs last season, 98 RBIs, but a 255 batting average. Okay, the power numbers are going to stay there in Toronto. It's a different kind of field where the ball flies, but he's not going to be able to get the RBIs because Joey Bats and Encarnacion, Russell Martin, those guys are going to pick those up. He's going to be left with nobody on base. He might hit 30 home runs, but I still see his average around 250. I think it was a great deal for Oakland. Donaldson's going into this season as a 30-year-old. They're bringing in Brett Lowry, who's 25 years old. He has had some injury problems, but I believe him when he says that the AstroTurf in Toronto did a lot of the damage on him and his health. Scared of lack of power? Look, Lowry played in 70 games last year. 70 big league games, and he hit 12 home runs. Like I said, Toronto's a different stadium. The ball does fly out there a little bit better. But if he doubles his game played and doubles his home runs, that's 24. You're not missing out on that much from Donaldson there. He's got speed. He's a possible 2020 player. And look at these A's fans, once they see him hustle and they see how he plays the game, they're going to buy in to Brett Lowry. They're gonna forget all about Josh Donaldson and his little rat tail in a quickness. But what A's fans should really pay attention to, and what I think Billy Beane was really focused on, are the prospects that came along with this. Lowry for Donaldson it's almost an even deal straight up in my eyes from the potential factor. But then you get some prospects, okay? Franklin Barreto, he's a 19-year-old shortstop who in the minor league, he only played 2 years of low A ball, rookie ball, but last year in 73 games, he hit 311, 6 home runs, 61 RBIs, 90 hits, and 29 stolen bases in only 73 games. So the kid can prove that he can hit and he's got some speed. They had a left-handed pitcher, 6'4", Sean Nolan, 26-year-old. Now his numbers aren't anything that jump off the page, but he's a guy that looks like he's got potential to come out of the bullpen. A tall lefty out of the bullpen that can throw strikes. Opponents only hit .216 against him last season. But the guy that A's fans need to remember, the name that they need to remember, is another starting pitcher, Kendall Graveman. He's a 6'2" righty. He's going into the season as a 25-year-old pitcher. And yeah, they have a lot of depth at pitching. They've actually got too much depth. Where Jesse Chavez, who performed well for them last year, is going to have to battle for a spot in the rotation because of guys like Jared Parker and A.J. Griffin coming back to health. Not to mention they already have Samardzija and Sonny Gray and Scott Kazmir. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have. There's too much starting pitching. But look, there's talks of them making trades. If that were to happen, already in the wings, they've got a guy like Graveman who could come up and perform in the spring and possibly make that team as a long relief or setup guy or a spot starter. So yeah, the bonus for Oakland is they have pitching in abundance. They have a lot of they have those two arms returning from injury, which are going to help their staff. They have Stephen Vogt was a huge upside last year. He's a guy that doesn't get any recognition for this team, but came in, as a catcher, plays outfield, plays first base, DHs, anywhere that they need him to play, and he hit his way into that lineup. He stayed in the lineup because he hit everything all over the field and made plays. He played his heart out. They have a lot of guys, a lot of moving pieces, guys that can play multiple positions, which is always huge. Even Lowry, as I mentioned earlier, third baseman, he can play second. I wouldn't be surprised if they needed him to play short, if he could play some short. Their signings so far have been a little bit strange to me. Billy Butler, I understand he's a good hitter, but he's going to hurt you on the field. He's got no speed, and his power numbers aren't there. But in the sense of, hitting 300, that you're going to get guys in if you're hitting in the right spot in the order. I like Davis, though. I'm not sold on the move to get Ike Davis, but, Billy Beane's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. But as far as needs, right now, Jed Lowry is a free agent. Their shortstop from last year. Eric Sogard is a so-so player. So as far as I'm concerned, they need help up the middle. Kayaspo is also a free agent, so unless they bring guys back, they're losing out. Middle infield guys, if they don't re-sign Jed Lowry, a second baseman, Munenori Kawasaki from the Blue Jays, the guy's a spark plug. The guy's a firecracker. He's everywhere. He plays great defense, hustles his heart. He plays the game the right way, and he's a fan favorite. He's the kind of guy that would fit into the weirdness of NorCal and the baseball that goes on here in Oakland and San Francisco, in the Bay Area. But outside of those two guys, I think somebody like Asdrubal Cabrera could be a perfect fit for Oakland to play shortstop. This guy was making the craziest plays look routine just a couple years ago. Gets traded to Washington, where he helped them by playing different positions in the infield, and very versatile, and he's been around, so he's a guy that I think could definitely fit in and do well for the Oakland Athletics. Outside of that, any bullpen help couldn't hurt, so I think with them, they need to re-sign Luke Gregerson and try to bring Pat Neshek back to the Bay. He proved last year, like I said earlier, Pat Neshek proved that he belongs, and he's that good. So this is my video number 1, starting in the AL West. Tomorrow I'll have the Central, and then the AL East with my Yankees. I should have given you forewarning to begin with. I am a Yankees fan. Everything I say and do might be swayed a little bit as a homer, even though I live out here in San Jose, California, in the Bay. I got a lot to say about baseball, and I study these things, so I'm not just throwing out stupid guesses, but I would like to hear your input, your reactions. This stuff is my passion, and I just want to share it with the world. So be ready for video number 2 tomorrow, and if there's any moves that are made, I'll be sure to incorporate that in the video as well. Have a good day.